Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. It is Tuesday, April 30th. It's the last day of the month. So I hope you guys are all really, really busy. You're out there, you've got jobs lined up and ready to go. I am back. I've been gone for 3 weeks. I've missed you guys so much. So it's great to see your faces. If you could turn your cameras on so we can see you, that would be great. It really helps us see your reaction to know if we're saying things that are hitting you the right way. We get to know you a little better that way as well. So if you guys could turn your cameras on, that's great. If not, completely understand. I know sometimes we aren't in a situation where we can turn them on. That's okay. No need to explain. I am here today on this Ask Me Anything style call with my good friend and collaborator, Laura Biewer. Hi, Laura.
Good afternoon. So excited to be back together again.
I know. I missed you guys so much. 3 weeks goes by in the blink of an eye, but it's also a really long time to be gone. So I'm super happy to be back. And I can't wait to hear your questions today. You guys know how this call works. We are here, Laura and I, to answer any questions that you might have about your notary business. So all you have to do is raise your virtual hand to get in line, and we will take questions in the order that people raise their hand. If you're looking for your virtual hand to raise, it's going to be at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you don't see it right away, go under the More button where there's three dots, click on More, and it'll be in that menu, and you can click Raise Hand. All right, Sankofa, am I saying that correctly? Welcome up. Tell me if I'm saying your name right, and also where you're calling from.
Hi, so it's Sankofa.
Sankofa, okay.
Sankofa, and I'm sorry, that's a different logo, but we're Sankofa Signings, based in Philadelphia.
Awesome. What is Sankofa your first name?
No, I'm sorry. My first name is Kalia. Sankofa is literally just the company name.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thanks for raising your hand. And what question can Laura and I answer for you today?
So I actually have a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
My first question is, can you only use a US government ID, not a ID from another country?
Laura, do you want to?
Yeah, so here's where I'm going to start with. This is for Pennsylvania. And have you looked at your list of IDs? If you looked
Yeah.
at your description for Pennsylvania, so because I cannot keep all 50 states straight at one time, I always go back to what does your handbook say? Some just give a description. It'll say a federal or state photo ID. Some actually have a listing of specific IDs, like my state. And so the way they say it helps me know if a foreign, you're asking about a foreign ID?
Right.
Will be acceptable. As some states will take foreign passports, for instance, and some won't, or only in certain circumstances. So what's really important is for all of us, for any state that you're in, is to remember the first place you want to go to is, what does your handbook say? It's going to have a space for satisfactory evidence and what that is. So I don't happen to have a Pennsylvania handbook available at the second. But that's where I'm going to refer you to. My question though is, have you looked at it before and it's just not very clear?
Yes, I'm actually in a process of renewing my commission, and that just came up, and I guess it wasn't clear because I jotted it down to like ask you guys for clarity.
All right, so it's not clear in the handbook about if foreign
Not the
IDs are
handbook.
acceptable.
I'm sorry, it wasn't the handbook. It was the course that I'm taking that mentioned it. That
Okay.
wasn't clear, but I'll certainly check my state handbook.
Yeah, that's always the Bible verse. Or if you have and after that would be an NNA law primer, which they have for Pennsylvania. I do have primers and I do have Pennsylvania, but the one I have is old. So I'd be afraid to give that to you and then have it not be the right thing.
No, no worries. That's good enough.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Did you have other questions?
I do.
Okay.
Two more, please. Um, Representative capacity, does that apply for LLCs when they say that someone is signing in a representative capacity? Does that go for LLCs?
Yeah, any representative capacity, whether it's formal, such as a company, Laura, Vice President of ABC LLC, or whether it's just Laura, attorney in fact for somebody else, representative capacity, you could be representing in a formal or informal capacity.
Understood. Does that apply? Okay, so it may be self-explanatory, but does that also apply for executors or administrators of estates?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking me.
Are they also signing in a representative capacity if they're signing on behalf of an estate?
If they're signing on behalf of, they're representing whatever behalf of is.
Okay, got you. So you would take all of the protocol when signing for in a representative capacity.
Yeah, if you've got somebody that says, hey, I'm the executor for the estate and that's how I'm signing as the executor,
Mhm.
then I'd be saying, okay, do you have the will or do you have any probate documents? Do you have anything that shows you're the executor? If I
Right,
was wanting to verify that. In my state, that's not a requirement.
got you. Okay.
Matt was so nice. He put the Pennsylvania ID, passport, driver's license, government issued non-driver's ID, which is current and unexpired. That doesn't say foreign to me. To me, that would mean all United States. That would not mean out of the United States. What do you
Keep
think, Matt?
reading.
He's right here. What do you say, Matt?
So also section 2 says that another form of government ID issued to an individual which is current contains the signature or a photograph of the individual and is satisfactory to the notarial officer. Pennsylvania gives their notarial officers broad discretion.
Got it.
There you go. You've got that second, the first part to me was very specific, but that second section that he put in the chat, it opened it up. So Matt, would you be in agreement that if it had a photo ID that was a foreign ID that was satisfactory to the notarial officer, that
So long
would be
as
acceptable?
so long as it's current and valid, yes.
There you go.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for looking that up, Matt. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Yeah, he's
That
my
is the
mighty
power
mouse.
of having these experts on the call, right? Thank you guys so much. What a great way to kick off the call. John in California. Hey there. What's your
Hey.
question for us?
Hello, my question's for Laura and possibly Matt.
Okay.
Laura, because she understands Spanish. I get an average of 8 calls a month for nota de poder.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Like a power of attorney.
And is that something that has to be apostilled, or I could just go and fill out their thing, stamp it, and they can send it?
Well, whether or not it has to be apostilled is a separate question. You can notarize that. If they're sending it to an outside country, it depends on the country.
Mexico.
Well, yeah, that's going to be apostilled. I do those frequently. Now, they
Okay.
may or may not know it. So what I do is I ask, have you been told if this needs authentication from the Secretary of State? And sometimes I'll say, the big red seal. They seem to know what that is. And if they say they didn't say so, I said you might want to ask before you send it to try to help them not have to do it twice.
So if it's a power of attorney going to Mexico, it needs to be apostilled.
In most cases, usually the power of attorney is going to be for property. That's what I see. It's for property. When I see it's for property, they're going to want an apostille on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, John. Okay, I'm going to go over just a couple of announcements before we move on. So while I'm doing that, if you guys have questions, go ahead, get in line, raise that virtual hand. You may have seen Jen Cooper, who's helping us out today. Thanks, Jen. She posted in the chat already that if you want to advertise your products or services on the TNT call, there is a way to do that now, and that is through the Innovator Spotlight, and that's sponsored by Notary Business Builder. If you would like to advertise to everyone on this call every week, you just have to be part of the Innovator Spotlight. And Jen's going to put that in the chat one more time, though, so you guys can check that out and see all of our innovators inside Notary Business Builder. Today, I want to talk to you about a very special innovator, a fantastic guy named Jeff Clark. I know you guys, he may even be on the call. I haven't looked yet, but you guys, I'm sure, know who Jeff Clark is. He offers fingerprinting classes for notaries. So if you want to unlock the secrets of ink fingerprinting with Jeff's comprehensive course, all you got to do is sign up by the link in the chat, which is going to take you to the Innovator Spotlight page. He can help you get into that world of fingerprinting identification. And the course is designed to equip you with the essential skills and knowledge that you'll need to be successful by adding that revenue stream to your business. Okay, I see Holly has her hand up. Holly, what is your question for us?
Well, welcome back, Jen. We missed
Thank
you.
you.
You had a
Thank
fabulous
you.
vacation. I'm really curious to know where we can get those proof of execution forms that I'm reading about in my primer.
Yeah, so you're talking about a proof of execution by subscribing witness, Holly?
Yes.
Okay, so don't bother buying them.
Okay.
You can download one through the Secretary of State's office for free. If you're a member of the NNA, you can download it there. You will probably never do one in your lifetime.
Oh, that's good to
So I would
know.
not run out and get 100 of those.
Okay, I'm going to take your advice. And then
Okay,
secondly,
is
another,
that, all right, so
yes.
you're familiar with what it is, you just wanted to know about the certificate.
Yeah, I wanted to
Okay.
know if I need one, where could I get one? Because I did look on Secretary of State and didn't see it, but maybe I didn't press all the right buttons.
So
And then,
Holly,
yes,
before I go on to your next question, for the benefit of other people in the same state of California, proof of execution by subscribing witness is hardly ever done because this is the one time when you could have a substitute signer stand in for your signer and swear to the notary that the right person signed it. But it has to be certain kinds of documents, ones that don't require thumbprints for us. It needs to be replacing an acknowledgement only, and they can only be identified through one credible witness known to the notary. So if they can meet all of those requirements, then it could get done, which is why it doesn't get done.
yeah, it sounds like a lot unless you have a public
Yeah.
notary in your neighborhood or something.
And that's why we have 24/7 mobile notaries.
Yes.
Don't really need it.
Thank you. Okay, my other, and again, I'm just waiting on my commission. As I shared, my fingerprints got rejected, so I can even do more fine tooth combing. I'm a little bit foggy on certificate for documents filed out of state.
Mhm.
And this paragraph, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm just wondering, could you shed light on just what this means? It says, we can complete an acknowledgement certificate prescribed by or used in a US state or jurisdiction other than California, only if the document will be filed outside of California. That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so they're talking about out-of-state documents that come to you. For
Mhm.
whatever the reason, either you've got a visiting party that's in California at the moment, but they don't live here and their documents are from that other state, or they downloaded an out-of-state document because for whatever reason, it's related to some issue in another state. The idea is that it's a document that is not meant to stay in the state of California. It's meant to go out of state. In those cases, I may fill out the acknowledgement certificate, even though it does not have the notice box, it does not have penalty of perjury, doesn't have a place to put my name. It's going to look very different than our acknowledgement. It's acceptable as long as two things. One, it's going to be sent out of state. And number two, it does not contain representative capacity, which means a title after their name, because in California, we are not allowed to include that in our certificate. So if you saw that, you would say, nope, can't use this one, even though it's going out of state because of representative capacity.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. All these details which haunt me in the middle of the night, I've got to get answers. So thank you. Thank you
It's
for
so good
clarifying.
to have you every week asking these basic
Oh,
questions
yeah.
because one, you're going to be a really competent and confident notary, and you do the heavy lifting for everybody else who doesn't do that very often. And they're like, oh yeah, I wonder what she means by that. And now they got some education as well. So thank you.
Thanks for that.
All right, that was a great conversation. I was thinking the same thing, Holly. I love that you're bringing this up and reminding people that we are more than just someone that comes by and stamps a piece of paper. This is something, it's so important to have this education. So to each of you on this call, thank you for being here and taking the time to learn more about your profession. I just want to give a quick shout out. I didn't realize this. Today's Jen Cooper's birthday. Did you guys know this? I didn't know that. Happy birthday, Jen. I'm going to put that on my calendar now. 29 again.
Gotta
I
have
wish.
that.
I wish.
But you know what? So Jen, let's have a quickie birthday song. Here's how fast it goes.
Oh my God.
This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. There you go.
I love it.
I
That's
love it,
awesome.
Laura. All day, every day, I'll take it.
I
Thank
did-
you guys.
You two, I
Appreciate it.
want to hear you two sing a duet together. Honestly, you, Jen, you and Laura, that
That'd
would
be
be
fun.
awesome. I know. Do a little duet. You guys both can sing. Guys, Laura, I see your hand up. We are going to get to you in just a moment, but at first, I want to introduce you guys to a special guest that we have on our call today. We have with us the one and only Mr. John Braddock. Who is he, you might ask? Well, John is the creator of My Life and Wishes, which is part of our, Notary Business Builder community. John, come on up and say hi to everybody on the call. You've got over 100 notaries across the country here.
Outstanding. Thanks very much, Jen. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and join the Tuesday TNT. And I see a lot of familiar names of folks I've spoken with. So it's just a pleasure to join you today.
Awesome. Hey, if you guys know what My Life and Wishes is, drop me a 1 in the chat right now. So spread a little love around to John so he can see how many of you are aware of what good work he does. So for those who don't know John, can you tell me what My Life and Wishes is?
Yes, very simply, it's a secure online planning and document storage platform that's designed to make things easier for families if I don't make it home tonight.
Right.
So
right.
the concept behind it is if I didn't make it home tonight, that my daughter in Florida or son in Wisconsin, at the touch of a button, they will know everything. They will know go ahead.
Do you find people are resistant to admitting that that is an important thing that they need to have for their loved ones?
I get 2 responses usually. Everyone thinks it's important because they know they have a lot of stuff and they don't want their family to be on this massive scavenger hunt for information. But one is, I have time, I'll get around to it. Well,
yeah,
I do not have that crystal ball. I hope I have time, but I don't know if I will make it home tonight.
Yeah, nobody does, right?
Right. And then the other one that I think is really funny is people say, well, I would, but it's bad luck to talk about death. And I don't know if I can say this, but those of you who know me know I'm going to anyway. So my usual response to that is we talk about sex all the time. That does not make us pregnant.
I love that. That's
so talking about death is probably not going to make us dead.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And of course, that's just, those excuses are just that. It's just that resistance, right? To not wanting to admit that we all, it's going to happen to all of us, no matter who we are. That's
right.
Part of the life cycle. It's birth, then death, right? So, how did you get into this? What made you decide that this was an important thing that you wanted to put out into the world?
Great question. So my background, as I think a lot of people know, is the financial services, employee benefits world, which I spent 30 some years in. And my father-in-law died unexpectedly about 10 years ago now, and he lived literally right up the street from us. And to say tracking things down and finding everything and closing out his final affairs was like a scavenger hunt on steroids would be a gross understatement.
Yeah.
It took us about a year. I mean, we were trying to find, does he have an attorney? Who's the accountant? Does he have a will or a trust? How do we find it? How do we find his bank accounts, his pension. He was an IBM guy, and so he utilized the computer extensively. And it was like trying to find logins and passwords to take down auto pay accounts and recurring payments, and it's unbelievable. And as people were asking, oh, how you doing, since Ted passed, and you kind of explain the story, and everyone was saying to me, wow, let me tell you about when my brother died or when my mother died. And it really struck me that if I died, my kids would not know who my attorney is. They wouldn't know my accountant. They wouldn't know if I had a trust, or much less what that was. They wouldn't know if I had life insurance or how to find it. They wouldn't know where I bank and all the accounts that I have, find my retirement assets. And as I always like to say, take down my digital identities, which will live beyond you. And a survey I read about a year and a half ago said that per one email address, it is associated with 130 digital identities. So now I use LastPass, and obviously I have a tech company, so I use technology. But I thought, I'm an old guy. I wonder how many I have. And so I went into my LastPass, and this was in September of 2022 before a presentation I had to do. At that time, I had 457.
Wow. Okay. So explain that a little more when you're talking about explain that for those that aren't tech savvy. Explain what you're talking about.
Yeah. So a digital identity is anything that you have done online, any accounts you have, any purchases you have made, because a lot of that stuff is stored. So let me give you a short list just to get you to think about it. Amazon Prime, Prime TV, Apple TV, Apple Music, iTunes, Audible, Kindle, Nook, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Gmail, Google Drive, AOL.
On and on, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Sirius XM, Pandora, Chewy, that's drop shipping the dog food once a month.
Yep.
And so many of these have auto pay or recurring pay, and their subscriptions. Your Amazon Prime. I mean, and so if family doesn't know how to access these and turn them off prior to, closing down bank accounts, and prior to which, require powers of attorney. And if people don't have, the proper documentation, that takes quite some time. Monies are going to be charged that family is losing out on. And my biggest pet peeve in the world, frankly, is Facebook, because I have no less than 5 deceased friends who still have active Facebook accounts.
Yeah, I do too. I probably have more than that. Yeah. And there's so, and it's sad. My mother-in-law's on there, and it and it's I can get in if I could figure out how to get in there, but like her birthday pops up and stuff, and it's just like, it's just sad. Like, I don't know. Sometimes you just don't want to see it. But so John, your product, My Life in Wishes, is something that you are actively selling to estate planning attorneys all over the country, but it's also a benefit for joining Notary Business Builder. And you have very generously decided that all Notary Business Builders could access My Life and Wishes as part of their membership, which is extremely generous of you. And we are so happy to offer that benefit to Notary Business Builders.
Yeah, absolutely. I met, and first of all, for all you professional notaries in the world, I'm like totally impressed with the work you do, because until I met Bill, my concept of a notary was me. I used to be one. I had to be for my financial services company that I had, because there are a couple of things I had to notarize. I had no idea that this is a career for people, and it's so impressive to me what you all do. So kudos. And meeting Bill, it was a amazing education, and we got talking about things, and he loved our platform for numerous reasons that many people probably know. But he said, let's find a way to make this available to all of our NBB members.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's an awesome idea. And so between that and certified notary trust delivery agents that are out there, There are over 200 who are currently utilizing the platform. I know there's 10 times that many of you out there that should be using the platform. And if you're not an NBV member, come one, because the value is unbelievable. Because we
So
charge, if someone comes direct to consumer to our
that's what I
company,
was gonna
and we
ask,
don't
yeah.
market direct to consumer, we work with estate planning attorneys and other professionals. But if someone comes to our website, they're going to pay $129 a year, each year, until they die or don't want it anymore.
Mhm.
So, put a value on that. Are you going to live another 20 years? Well, that's a $2,600 value just by being part of
Yeah.
NBB.
Yeah. And for your family. Yeah. That's why I said it's such a generous offer, and so important that the notaries can have that, because we also need to leave instructions per our state rules on what to do with our notary stamps, our commissions and things after we pass. And it's probably not like, I don't even think I've had that conversation with my own husband. Laura, have you had that conversation with Scott? If something were to happen to you, what to do with your stamp?
Well, my notary tools, yes.
Yeah.
Some other stuff, I plead the fifth.
Got it. Well, John, you live in Arizona,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? And
Yes.
how long have you been doing this with My Life and Wishes?
Well, we started the company in 2015. The most important thing to me was security. So we didn't launch to the world until summer of 2016. So
Yeah.
we're just coming up on 8 years now. And in 2018, when our youngest went off to college, we decided I didn't want to shovel snow anymore in Wisconsin. And so we moved to
I'll blame you.
Scottsdale.
Yeah, don't blame you. Roberta just put in the chat, John, she said, my husband shuts me down and doesn't want to talk about it when she brings up, not being around someday. What do you tell people that, like, when their spouse or their loved ones are resistant and don't want to talk about death?
Yeah, that's really common. So if your husband won't talk about it with you, and he does a lot of the things, and you don't know where things are, have access to them, say, look, I'm going to live 7 years longer than you. I'm going to need to know where this stuff is. So,
Yeah. That's the
it's
statistic, right? Women live 7 years longer. So
exactly. So that's my, kind of flippant answer to that. It's hard to get people to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
And if they don't want to talk about it, say, at least do me a favor. Get all this stuff together and organized. You don't have to talk to me about it now, but leave me the roadmap.
Right.
So that when you're not here, because what I tell people is it's all about the experience for your family and what you want it to be like after they die. Now, sadness and grief, we can't change. That's
Right.
healing, right? But frustration, confusion, added stress, time, and expense, those are all avoidable if someone does something with it. So, and the other argument is, well, it's going to take me a long time because I got a lot of stuff and I got to get it all in there. It's going to be daunting and overwhelming and da, 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 da. And that's valid. I get that. But if it's going to be time consuming and overwhelming for you, can you imagine how time consuming and overwhelming it'll be for your family when they have to do it? And you know where the stuff is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and the thing is too, John, it's like, if you have experienced death and having to close down bank accounts and find passwords and where's the life insurance paperwork, and it like you said, it's just so stressful. You instantly know when you hear about My Life and Wishes and the military grade vault that it is, right? Like, you see the value in it instantly.
right. And if people understand it, they'll use it. Like I said, we spent a year just developing the security around it.
Mhm.
And, it's for people to understand. I mean, it's AES 256 military encryption. We don't have servers. It's all Microsoft Azure. It's all in the cloud. Everything's stored individually. And so for someone to hack an account, they're going to need to figure out a code that's equivalent of a string of digits that's about 64 untillion digits long.
Jeez,
So
a
best
billion. I
of
didn't even know that was a
best.
thing.
I didn't either until I got into technology. But what I tell people is if you're not comfortable putting some information, maybe you don't want to put bank account numbers, you don't have to. Just build the roadmap, because, I can tell all of you guys, today I can say, look, my attorney is Jeff Marsacci, my accountant's Noel Willis. I have an estate plan and trust documents. They're in a blue binder in a bottom desk drawer. If everything else fails, call Jeff. He has copies. My advisor is Forrest Ross. My retirement assets are with LPL Financial. I have 2 life insurance policies, one with Prudential, one with Principal. I bank at 2
Who's gonna
financial
remember all that?
institutions,
Yeah.
and go through all that stuff. So point is, if I store all that in and build that roadmap, if a bad person gets it, it's not going to do them any good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to save my family
Yeah.
an enormous amount of time rather than digging through dead dad's things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the truth of what happens. And it's even harder when you're grieving to have to go. It makes that mountain you have to climb to settle an estate even that much more difficult when you're grieving. So having it all in one place is incredible. And I see some questions popping up in the chat. Please feel free to raise your hand. John's going to hang out with us, if that's okay, John, for the next 30 minutes till we wrap up the call.
Absolutely.
If you have any questions for John, please feel free to raise your hand. And if he's able to, he will address the chat if he's able to. If not, please raise your hand. We would love to address your question. We are going to get back to our questions because Laura, sweet Laura, has been so patient and waiting to ask her question. Laura, what is your question for us today?
Hi, oh my gosh, you're so sweet. And I'm so sorry. I did not mean to look like I was bombarding with the raised hand. I had accidentally clicked it off and then had to click it back on. So I wasn't trying to be.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay. Anyways, my question is, I'm wondering if there's any entity that I can sign up for general notary work that would give me like regular and consistent notary work. Because right now, the reason I'm asking is right now I'm at the beginning, I'm in the first year, of my notary business, and I'm at the beginning, and I've learned a lot. I've gone through a mentorship and everything, but in terms of being able to rely on the idea of a consistent income, until I, have established many new relationships, which takes a long time, it could take years and everything,
Yeah.
as we know. So I'm just wondering, at first, the first thought that popped in my mind was the court system, but if you have any ideas or advice on this, I'm very, very open to it. And thank you.
Great question. And you kind of answered your own question. I'm not sure if you realize that or not, but the one thing you don't want to do, Laura, in my opinion, is become dependent on some kind of service that's going to magically give you jobs, right? Personally, I am not aware, Laura, if you are, please say so. I am not aware of a directory that is specific to just general notary work, right? All the directories, they'll either handle loan signing stuff, they mix in general notary work. Some are now starting to add trust deliveries. Laura, do you know of any that are Laura Biewer?
Well, Find a Notary is the new NNA one.
Yes, that's right.
It is for everything
Thank you.
not loan signings.
Yes, thank you.
Idea. So it is a subscription. It's $99 for a year. They have a huge pull, SEO pull. People are getting jobs from that, but that doesn't mean you're going to get a job every day that you wake up and somebody found you and you're going to get a job. It doesn't work that way. That's just not how it works. You have to get out there and hustle for the work and build the relationships in the right places so that they think of you first. So, for instance, hospital work for me, I get a lot of hospital jobs because I took the time to build relationships with nurses and with the social workers at the hospitals and offered education about notary work there. And so I get that, but I can't rely on getting hospital work every single day. So I have to mix it in with all kinds of other types of specialties. And when I put them all together, I get 5 to 6 calls every single day. One might be a trust, one was a hospital visit. Sometimes the trust is in the hospital. It could be a jail call. I mean, so because I do so many different types of work, the combination of them helps give me a variety of sources, number one. Number two, being on a directory like Find a Notary and other directories also gives me a place for people to find me. And every time I'm listed somewhere, it sends me, it puts me higher in the search. And of course, Google My Business, you know, having that profile and having, not just having a profile, a basic one, but doing a really extra good job at that, including reviews, is, especially in the outside of loan signing world, is probably your best. And of course, that's free. And the better job you do there, the more likely it is that work will start funneling your way, because people will find you in the digital world faster than how long it takes to build relationships. But some of that happens. Half of my business are repeat customers. So that means the first time they found me on Google My Business, Yelp, they found me somewhere. And then after I took care of them, they come back to me for work. So having repeat work helps me not have to keep scrambling for new customers.
Ah, okay. You guys just answered like 3 questions in one, because around having this thought, my next thought was like, as I don't know, just as I've been thinking about this for months now, is it better to just spread the word, spread myself around in that sense, do the best job I absolutely can, and go from there, versus trying to get certified with a few different title companies and hoping that they give me regular work while I'm doing the hustle? Absolutely doing the hustle, but guess I was trying to find a little bit more security. But I guess it doesn't exist, is what it kind of sounds like. So, and
There's
that's
not
okay.
one definitive thing, right?
Right.
Like there's not one definitive thing. And we start off, at least when I entered this business, when it was all about loan signings and nobody was talking about anything else, it was all about like, oh, you got to be on 150 directories and you'll have all the business you can handle. Those days are over. They're done. That doesn't happen anymore. There's 2 ways you can build that business, Laura, and it's your relationships and it's your online presence. So you want to make sure your website, your Google business profile, all those things are optimized. You want to make sure that, as Candy said in the chat, everywhere you go, everybody you talk about your notary business. Go to networking meetings, go, participate in things in your town. If you have an activity that you love, say pickleball, that's my husband and I's new obsession. Join a pickleball league and talk to people about your business. It's your job as a business owner to spread the word about your business. You can pay somebody to do that, but it's going to cost you a minimum of $10,000 a month. And I'm assuming you don't have that kind of money to spend, because I know I don't. So yeah, it's us getting out there and talking about it, going to the chamber meetings, and being a part of the directories that do work. But if you want to make any kind of money, and you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but if you want to make any kind of money as a notary entrepreneur, being dependent on signing services, plural, even if you're on many of them, it's just not the way to go right now. Does Laura, what say you about that?
Laura said what she had to say.
Get out there and market, right? Does that help, Laura?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for your patience and waiting. Ted, what is your question for us? He's looking for that mute button.
Okay, can
There
you hear
we
me
go.
now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did a run a few weeks ago for someone, it's a nearby county in South Florida, and it was a building permit and a notice of commencement. And a couple of weeks later, he contacted me and told me that the municipality would not accept the RON unless the notice of commencement was filed by the notary, which made no sense to me.
What does that mean? What, it was filed in with the county?
Yes, so the homeowner, for whatever project he was doing, I can't recall, he submitted the RON that I did, and they said that it had to be submitted, it had to be filed by the notary, that they would not accept the
If
RON.
it's an
So
RON instead of paper.
Instead of paper.
correct.
Receiving agencies can choose to do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal with RON. Just because you can do a RON doesn't always mean it's accepted, or that there aren't conditions under which it will be accepted. So perhaps this particular county decided that this was their rule.
Yeah.
They can make a rule.
Or it was a new person.
It's probably a county rule.
Could be, but every county is different. So you could go to another county and that's not the rule.
Right, because
So it's
I've done several of them in Florida in different counties, and this has never happened before.
But you can have counties
Okay.
that make the rule, and there's nobody to fight with. This is their rule, you know. So you'd have to go file it, or he's going to have to get it notarized on paper. But that is the deal about RONs, is that the signer needs to make sure whoever's going to get it, especially if it's a governmental receiving agency, that they will accept an RON, and if there's any conditions.
Okay.
That's their job. And that's what I would ask. I mean, I'm not doing them in California, but if I were, the first thing I'd ask is, did you check to verify your agency will accept an RON, number one, and number two, are there any special conditions under which they'll accept it? Until this becomes an everyday thing in all 50 states, until that time, because you guys are still early adopters right now in the RON world. These are the things you got to watch out for.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Because now other people doing RONs might have to ask that question.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great question. Beatrice in New Jersey, what's your question for us today?
Hi. John, I wanted to ask about My Life and Wishes. Did you say that it's only through attorneys?
No, it is direct to consumer. People can go to our website at mylifeandwishes.com, and which I posted in the chat. And as an individual, you can subscribe and use the platform. It's $129 a year. But again, if you're an NBB member, as part of your membership, it's provided to you for free. And so in the portal where all the stuff is, there's a training in there that Bill and I recorded a while back. There's instructions, the code that you would use to make your account free.
Another question. So how, I was doing a notarization yesterday, and I was trying to talk to him about My Life and Wishes, and he said, "Oh, I have Dropbox. I have everything in there. My son knows my code." How do you overcome an objection like that?
Well, I wouldn't say this to him, but you might have Dropbox and have some things in there, but you don't have near what he's going to need if something happens to you, right? So a lot of people say to me, well, why can't I just put all this in Dropbox or Google Drive? And they're thinking about the documents. They're thinking about, them being able to find copy of my life insurance policy, copy of my trust, et cetera. But what they don't think through is all the other stuff that needs to be there. And, our platform, I mean, Dropbox, you just have to, it's fine. You just have to know what to put there. And then you have to provide somebody, that access. Our platform intuitively guides you through. You go to each section, you click on a box, it says, documents, add a document. It gives you, a drop down with low hanging fruit, and then an other option where you can name whatever it is, such as, copy of the marriage certificate, copy of birth certificate, my, DD 214 if you're in the military, and your military papers, and the list goes on and on and on.
So I think, Beatrice, the answer to that is Dropbox is just a storage facility, as is My Life and Wishes, but it also guides you to think about the things that you may not realize now are important when you're not here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have another question. This is separate, maybe for Laura, about estate planning. When there's an estate plan for a couple, and you go to deliver the estate plan, but only one is there, you can still do it?
Sure, you can always notarize separately. However, if the certificates were already created with both in mind at being at the same time, you would have to then strike the one name that's in that certificate. That's not going to be there. So it only reflects the person who was with you at the time.
Okay. And one other question, or maybe comment, I was watching your mock delivery with Bill, and there was a section that I got a little confused. The section where David Black is assigned there was a child that had special needs.
Guardianship.
Yes. And I don't know if I saw it wrong or whatever, but on my documents that I printed out as the mock, it has for his signature for David Black, but in the mock session, you had Bill signing it.
Well, he was pretending to be David for me. I only had one guy.
Okay. All right. I
So
just
it
wanted to
probably wasn't
double check.
clear he was changing hats.
Okay. All right. That's it for now. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Beatrice. We appreciate that. I think Beatrice was saying your acting skills weren't on par there, Laura.
I guess not.
Hey, Roberta, what's your question for us? Tell us what state you're calling from first.
I am calling from Los Angeles, California. And this is to John. While I was waiting, I was wondering, how do I find it on NBB? And I did by going to Notary Coach, notarycoach.com, logging in, and going to the NBB dashboard.
Yep.
So that was the first one. And then I went all the way down. And under managing your business and affairs.
Yep.
And there's that video that Laura was talking about just a little bit ago, the other notary, Laura. My question is, so I answered my own question, but the other one was, and I think it might be in the tutorial that Bill and John did, is if I go to either the link, the mylifeandwishes.com link or the NBB link, how is it that they'll know that I'm an NBB member and not get charged?
Well, John, do you know the answer to this, how it's set up?
I do.
Okay.
So in the instructions that you'll see for setting up the account, and it says when you're opening an account, this is what you do, and there is a code right there that NBB members use. And when you put that in and you click apply, it makes it free.
Okay.
I won't say the code.
Yeah, please don't.
Because, to get that code, be a member.
Yeah, you got to be an NBB member. That's right. Thanks for asking that, though, Roberta.
Thank you.
It's in the instructions there when you click on managing your affairs. When you click on My Life and Wishes, just read through the instructions there, and it will guide you on how to get signed up so that you're not charged the $129 a year. Thank you. Now, John, there was a few other questions in the chat, and I haven't seen anybody raise their hand, but if you have the time, if you're able to answer those, that would be great. Lena, do you have a question for John?
I'm sorry, I came in late. I just had a general question.
Okay, great.
That's
What's
all
that?
right.
Okay, so I kind of had asked Laura a couple weeks ago, but NNA were able to answer it. But so the question is, special needs adult. I dealt with an highly functional autistic client that the sister was gonna start the process of conservatorship because parents are extremely elderly and she's been taking care of them for over 20 years anyway. And she needed a POA and a advance directive because she said I guess the hospital or the treatment center were changing things and they needed that in place and the conservatorship was going to take too long. So anyways, so I thought of, okay, well, as long as he could answer all the 4 questions or this and that, but I wanted to confirm. And NNA said the same thing, as long as he's able to identify and be able to sign, have ID, all that in place. Anyway, so the agency that was the initial ones who inquired and were helping this person are now asking me if I would do that for other clients. And I pretty much told them, well, as long as they are capable of this, this, and this. So I'm just wanting to know, what is your guys' take with that? As far as dealing with special needs, that definitely, or if they have so the other ones, I believe they're Down syndrome patients, young adults or adults.
Well, I think the rule's going to be the same. I mean, first of all, it's a line of business, and they need service just like everybody else. The second thing is that each one is an individual, so they'll have an individual level of functionality. And if they can meet the level of functioning that would allow you to notarize for them, then I'd be doing it. They need people identified to help take care of them or assist them when they're not able to communicate that. And they may be at a point in their life when they can communicate that, and there could come a time when they can no longer. So they need the paperwork to indicate who can step in.
Okay, well, because I was just kind of shocked because she said I was the first notary that agreed to doing something like this for any of her clients. And she's been in the industry, I guess, for 15 years. And usually they have to wait for the whole process of conservatorship. And so anyways, I was like, well, let me look into this further, which I did.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, it should make sense. So I'm sure that's a whole other need.
There are some states, and I can't think of the one right now, that just got a new form specifically to address this population. Matt, was I talking to you about that? There's a state that
It was Washington.
has a new for high functioning adults, and it allows them, I want to say Colorado, but I don't think it was them, allows them to identify, it's not a power of attorney exactly, it's similar in that it allows them to identify who helps them with financial matters versus who helps them with healthcare matters versus who helps them with whatever it is. It's broken out into 3 or 4 different categories that person is not acting as an attorney. In fact, they're really a helper to them. And the person is not conserved at all. And anyways, I'm sorry, it's not California. I can tell you that, but I can't remember which state it was where there's a form that allows people to be identified as formal helpers, that they could use that documentation to say, yes, he has said I'm somebody who can help. And it even breaks down, well, they can make decisions for me versus they can advise me versus they can suggest. It says at what level they can help. So it's very detailed. And I think we're going to be seeing that spreading into other states as well.
Okay, yeah, because what was sad is she shared that she had gone to UPS And I guess their person had almost pretty much accused her, saying, well, your names don't match. Her name and her brother's name weren't the same because she has her married name, but her name matched on the document. So it was like, that should not really be of his concern. And he was telling her, how do I know you're not just trying to steal all of his interest in his affairs? And anyway, she was just kind of like, I didn't know what to do. And so I asked the agency if they could help with this, and they found you. But she said, I was just kind of like, well, I'm sorry, as a notary, that should have never been spoken. She said he immediately, it looked like he was on his way out anyway, so he probably just didn't want to do it. But I'm thinking, wow. And she goes, and it was a big deal to get my brother out of the house, to take him there, and all that. And so anyways, I just applauded her for just the inhumanity of how he treated her.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing it to everybody's
Yeah.
attention that just because somebody has a disability, whatever it may be, there are documents, there are ways to assist, and they may need documents notarized. And as a notary, it's not our place to ultimately determine their overall competency, but can they communicate or articulate what they want to us?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you
Right.
for bringing that up, Lena. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Matt, tell us what's happening on Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Thanks, Jen. So this Thursday is the California League of Independent Notaries monthly roundtable, and this month we're going to talk about what laws and administrative rules that were proposed over the last 6 months or so have been either passed or adopted, and when they will be taking effect. You can sign up for this for free at calnotaries.org/events. If you've already signed up for the monthly roundtable, you don't need to sign up again. You'll get a reminder email, but that is this Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Hope to see you there.
Thank you so much, Matt. And also on Thursday, Notary Toastmasters has a meeting. They meet the first and third Thursday of every month. If you guys haven't checked out Notary Toastmasters, it's an excellent tool to help you with those public speaking skills. And I don't mean standing up in front of a crowd of 1,000 people. I'm talking about just even when you're at your local Chamber of Commerce meeting and you need to get up and deliver your elevator pitch or something. They're really going to help you with that. So check out Notary Toastmasters that's happening Thursday morning. And Jen just put a link for that, as well as the California League of Independent Notaries meeting. On Thursday, I have a question for you guys. 2 weeks, we are 2 weeks away from the National Notary Association conference in Orlando. And I know Laura and I are both really excited to get there and see everybody. I want to know who's going. Drop me a 1 in the chat if you're going. I want to see who else. Tabitha, Juliana, awesome. Who else is going? Anybody else going to the Notary Association? Laura Biewer's going to be there? What? Oh, Linda's going. Fantastic. Oh, Cynthia, we'll miss you. Sorry that you are not going to be there this year. But if you're going, drop that 1 in the chat so we can be on the lookout for you.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll meet up in the bar or have a chance for conversations there. Let us know if you are going to be in Orlando with us in 2 weeks. Ramona's already in Orlando. She's going. I can't wait to meet all the Florida notaries. All right, Laura?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Quickly, Laura, tell us how people can connect with you outside of this call on Saturday mornings.
Thank you. So every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time, I hold a similar type of call called Laura's Inner Circle. And that is a place for us to talk, and sometimes a lot more in depth because it's a much smaller group. The way you can get to that, it's always free. Just go to coachmelaura.com. Check out Laura's Inner Circle, put your email there so I can send you the link. I use the same one every time. And then feel free to join us every Saturday. And so we talk about the technical aspects of notarization. We talk about the marketing aspects of notarization. We talk about communal aspects of notarization because we're a notary community. So you might want to drop by, especially if you miss a TNT call. Now you got a second shot, or if you just want a chance to talk more in depth about some of our questions. We'd love to have you.
Thank you, Laura. If you want to connect with me outside of this call, you can find me at marketingfornotaries.com. This is kind of for the beginning stage of your entrepreneurial journey. I'm going to teach you how to market your notary business. We talked about it a little earlier on this call. I'm going to teach you how to get out there and build those relationships that are so important to an entrepreneur. Guys, thank you so much for a great Tuesday, Notary Titans. Your questions, as always, were incredible. Feels so good to be back in the routine and seeing all of your awesome, gorgeous faces. Jen Cooper, happy birthday. And we will see you guys all next week. Thanks. Bye.